Alright, what is up, guys? Okay, so today we're going to be tying a Clouser minnow. Now, I'm not sure it's the exact way Bob Clouser tied it, but it's the way I learned it. And this fly is it's the first fly that I've ever tied before, and the first fly I've actually caught fish on as well. And so it's kind of a special kind of fly to me. I've tied, a good bit of them, and I fish them fairly frequently, but it's a good fly to have in the box. It's pretty universal. You can throw it in different sizes and colors for like a bunch of different kind of fish. So today we're going to be tying it on a Daiichi 2546 in a size 4 hook, and that's what this is in the vise right now. I'm going to be using some Danville 210 denier. It's a flat wax nylon thread, and to start this fly off, we're going to start close to the head, kind of hold our, I want these wraps to be tight here. Gonna hold our tag end out so our wraps stay tight to right about there on this hook. And then we're gonna kind of wrap it back forward and tight wraps again. And when I say tight, I just mean close to one another, and we're going to stop right about here to put on our lead eyes. Actually, that's a little too far back. We're going to come back. We're going to come up to about right there. Take about 3 wraps diagonally one direction, and then the same the other direction. I kind of check from the side and make sure the eyes are straight on there. All right, now we're going to secure these eyes down, and the way we want to do that is keep making our crossing wraps, and then afterwards we're going to go under and keep these wraps tight to the eyes and just kind of lock it in from the sides, and then we can kind of do wraps this way. Like I said, keep them tight to the eye, do some more cross the top wraps, come back in the front, do a couple of these, and then do a couple under again, and then end up in the front of the fly again. I want to end up right about there. Okay, so the purists, one of my fly fishing mentors, he tells me that the purist, the people who want to keep it like how it originally was tied, they'll tie it in deer hair. Now, I tied my first one with craft fur, which is, you can tie it with pseudo hair, craft fur, deer hair, anything like that. But he always says the purists tie it with deer hair. So that's what we're going to do today. So you're going to cut out a piece about this size right here, and we're going to tie it on the top. So these Clouser minnows, which I didn't realize when I first started tying, is they actually swim this way. So they swim hook up. That's why the weights are on the top. So it makes sense if you think about it. But with this Clouser minnow, you kind of want to pull out the shorter hairs, and you don't want it to be too thick. So what you want to do is pull out those shorter hairs, kind of make the front nice and flat, and you kind of taper that down in the front. So it's going to look kind of like that. And then what you're going to do is kind of start mid shank, just loosely, kind of, actually maybe start farther. You can start forward, or I like to start behind the eyes. It leaves more room for error, because we are, after all, novice fly fishermen here. You gotta be ready to make a ton of errors, make a lot of, unwrap your thread a lot. All right, so we're gonna pull that back there. Just kind of loosely capture those, and then tighten down as you work your way back to the eyes again. Make sure that that's all in there good. All right, now that we are behind the eyes, we're gonna do looser wraps right here. So if you pull down too tight, your deer hair is going to split, and you don't want that. Now, a cool thing is you can save it when it does split. So right there it's kind of frayed, so we can pull the fibers that are sticking out a lot, just pull those up, trim them right next to the shank. And I've seen this done in a couple of videos that I've seen, and it really cleans the fly up. It makes it look a lot better. So that's cleaned up right there, good enough at least. So we're gonna take this through here and kind of put it back in there just for cleaning up the workspace. Now that was a natural bucktail. This one is dyed and it's in a shad gray color. So we're basically gonna do the same thing, but we're also gonna add some flash in here. And I have this Cabela's Rainbow Flash, which it's pretty good. I like the different colors on it. It kind of looks like a natural line down the side, which is what someone told me when I started learning this. They say the flash is for the lateral line down the side of the fish. So I'm going to take a piece of this about this length. And, I'm going to do 2 of those. That's the way I learned how to tie it. So just get 2 of those things there. Oh, my watch last here, he was talking to me. Okay, so we're going to kind of have these at about an even length, and we're going to wrap it around here, which is a little trick that I've seen done before, and it works really, really well. So we're gonna wrap that on a couple times, and then we want to split the shank. So we want our flash to come out behind, on the sides, sorry, not behind. We want it to come on the sides of our hook. So kind of tie that back in there, and then we're gonna work our way up to the front this time. And these will align, as the fly is fished in the water and stuff. And you kind of want them to go with this gray color we're about to do. So we're gonna try and get the gray color about the same exact amount as we got the white. So that looks about right to me. There we go. Pull out the under hair. Now this is a little bit thinner, but it'll be okay. All right, I want to cut that at a little bit of an angle. See that angle right there? So we're gonna take this close to, I'm gonna start at the eye this time. Now, we wanna do loose wraps at first so we can capture that deer hair that is off of the sides. And then once we feel we got it captured fairly well, then we can relax and tighten those wraps. I always pull out like this, and we miss one. We did miss one. But you want this deer hair that you tie on in the front, you want it to go up a little bit. The trick is you don't want it to go up too much. So a couple lighter wraps in the back help hold it down a little bit more. And then we're ready in the front. So I do a little half hitch there. Get my whip finish tool right here. Depending on the water that you're in, I would say that definitely is the deciding factor in how many whip finishes you want to do. Freshwater, I just do 1 honestly, freshwater you could do 2 half hitches and you'd be completely fine. Saltwater 1 to 2, just depends on what you're fishing for. You know, a lot of redfish and stuff. I'm not really sure of the size variation and everything, but I do know that you want to get that flash that you just tied in, you want to get that back to even with your deer hair, so you don't want it to extend past and you don't want it to be too short. I'm going to put this flash back in here, and I'm going to put this bucktail, the shad graded bucktail, back really quickly. And then we are going to take our loon UV fly finish, the flow thickness, and we're going to actually, one step, not in the original, but I've seen it done multiple times. I've actually seen a difference from me fishing with this. This little red head is a nice touch. It's a good thing to do. It's definitely not gonna scare anything away. I've heard it helps. I feel like I've noticed the difference. The fish just could have been on when I noticed the difference. So add a little bit on the head, on the eyes, and you can even kind of shape where you want these hairs to go by adding a little bit behind, or on top, sorry, of those hairs there. So you can kind of hold that down. Then you're going to take your light, just kind of make sure the glue's where you want it to be, make sure those that deer hair is where you want it to be, then just hit it with the light. And that is pretty good. All right, that is my version, at least, of the Clouser Minnnow. My friend, actually, one of my buddies, actually got to tie with Bob Clouser, and he gave him a hat, which is pretty cool. So, yeah, that is the Clouser Minnnow. Super universal bait fish fly, both freshwater and saltwater. I've heard the white and chartreuse, which I have one of those in my big fly box. Those are good for striper in my area right now, which is Columbia currently. In the rivers, those will be good for striper, and I've also heard that color combination is good for redfish. I mean, bass will eat this fly, stripe will eat this fly, redfish will eat this fly, trout will eat this fly, tarpon will eat this fly. You name the fish, if it eats bait fish, it will eat this fly. So this is a good one. It's the first one I've tied. This isn't the first one I've tied, but it is the first pattern that I learned how to tie. So have fun tying this, have fun getting out there and fishing with this, and I'll have some more tutorials coming soon.